Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Welcome to Heart and Home Theater's production of Where Art Thou, Romeo? My name is Drew Zahn, the playwright and the director of this evening's performance, and these are our assistant directors, my wife, Debbie, and daughter, Hannah. A couple of program notes as we begin. First of all, let me just encourage you. We have the privilege and the delight of having this evening's performance recorded on video. So a couple of instructions. One, please refrain from using flash photography during the performance itself. When the performance is over, we'll have the opportunity for you to take photographs of the cast if you'd like. They'll even go back and pantomime certain scenes if you'd like. Now, also, you want to pay special attention, especially along that aisle right there. There's a cord running along the floor. Just want to be careful about not tripping on that cord when you get up and move around. And finally, third instruction, by all means, please fill the auditorium with as much laughter as you can. Much appreciated. Now, this is the 9th production of Heart and Home Theater. And as it turns out, the second time we've had the privilege of performing this play. Where Art Thou, Romeo? Is a comical sort of mashup of some of William Shakespeare's most famous lines, all shoehorned into a modern-day setting where everyday teenagers speak in Shakespearean English.
And for those of you who are fans of Shakespeare, part of the delight of this play is the way that the great playwright's words get mixed up and mashed up in ways Shakespeare never intended. For example, the lines famously spoken by the character Petruchio from Taming of the Shrew are instead spoken by Macbeth as he argues with the waspish Kate. And the character Puck, who you know from Midsummer Night's Dream, shows up as our gravedigger from Hamlet.
You know, and because this is the second season that we've had the opportunity to perform this play, we were able to get a little bit of feedback from the first time that we performed it about 5 years ago. And one of the criticisms that we got is that people still had a hard time understanding Shakespeare's English. You know, students everywhere have been intimidated by all the forsooths and alasses and methinks. And you know, really, Shakespeare can be really hard to understand.
No, it's not.
What?
He said, no, it's not.
What? Not hard to understand?
Whoa!
What? What happened, tree? Oh, the tree. What?
You would wait till this was on camera before you did this, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, we thought you director types might try to pull something like this.
You belong backstage.
So we actors are here to set the record straight. Have a seat, Mr. Director.
Mutiny!
Let us show you how it's done.
I, Sisima.
Oh, you're in really big trouble.
I was 11 years old the first time that Dad tried to convince us to do Shakespeare.
Yes, and so was I, Debbie.
Esther?
Have a seat, please. Pretty please. Thank you.
This better be good.
Well, it didn't take long to get into the play, to realize that Shakespeare isn't a foreign language or alien communication, I guess. I don't know. But, you know, most of it is everyday English, but simply set to a prettier pace. It is English after all, even if it is old.
In fact, if you look at Shakespeare and permit him to write thee, well, instead of you, about 50% of every script is perfectly understandable to modern ear.
When shall we three meet again? In thunder, lightning, or rain?
Then place.
Upon the heath, there to meet with Macbeth. All right.
Where is my gracious Lord of Canterbury?
Not here in present.
Send for him, good uncle.
Shall we call in the ambassador, my liege?
Not yet, my cousin. We would be resolved of some things of which that test our thoughts concerning us and France.
God and his angels, guard your sacred throne, and make you long become it.
We thank you, my learned Lord. We pray you to proceed and just and religiously unfold what they in France should or should not bar us in our claim.
Yes, it's a bit flowery and sounds funny to our ear, but the words themselves and the gist of what they're saying make perfect sense. But here's a secret most folks don't realize. The reason Shakespeare's so flowery with his words, and why the words themselves are sometimes mixed up, is because Shakespeare wasn't so much a scriptwriter
As he was a poet.
what she said. Every line of Shakespeare's plays was, well, written like a story, with a rhythm and sometimes even with a rhyme. More concerned about how the words sound and the emotions they invoke. That is why his words persist even to this day. It wasn't just a script for a story like
Titanic or Twilight.
it was a poem that just so happened to be acted out on stage.
Captain of our fairy band, Helena is here at hand, and the youth mistook by me, pleading for a lover's fee. Shall we their fond pageant see? Lord, what fools these mortals be.
So consider this, okay? If 50% of Shakespeare is, well, perfectly understandable to modern ear, well, then about another 40% is poetry. Sometimes symbolic, sometimes Shakespeare simply playing with the language.
But soft! What light through yonder window?
Wait. If you're gonna do that speech, you have to do it right. Now you may proceed.
But soft! What light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun.
Shakespeare is just comparing Juliet to the sun. The way she shines radiant as though bringing dawn. That is why he says that east, not the west, by the way. Bringing the light of dawn into his life.
Sounds a lot better than... Wheel! Look in yonder window there! A pretty girl! A lot better!
There is a step of interpreting that, well, needs to be done. Like the metaphors in poetry, where the words said don't mean what they say literally. Juliet is not the sun, but are metaphors for something else.
If we shadows have offended.
By which, Puck here doesn't mean shadows, he means the actors. If the play has offended you.
Think but this, and all is mended, that you have but slumbered here, while these visions did appear.
In other words, pretend you were dreaming. You slumbered here while visions appeared.
And this weak and idle theme, no more yielding, but a dream.
Like I said, just pretend you were dreaming.
Gentles, do not reprehend. If you pardon, we will mend.
Don't be offended, we'll fix it.
And as I am an honest Puck, if we have unearned luck, now to escape the serpent's tongue.
What does he mean by escaping the serpent's tongue? You'll find Shakespeare is filled with both classic Greek mythology and biblical references. So, what's the serpent in Scripture?
You know, the snake in the garden?
Yeah, he did what? He did what to get Eve to eat the fruit? He
Lie.
Yes, he's the liar. So Puck is saying to escape from the charge of lying. A reference back to him being an honest Puck.
We will make amends ere long, else the Puck a liar call.
There's no reference to him being honest again.
So good night unto you all. Give me your hands if we be friends.
These are the final lines of the play, A Midsummer Night's Dream. So Puck is literally saying goodbye. And so, when he says, give me your hands, he's actually inviting the audience to start clapping. Because it's the end of the play. Give me your hands, he says. But when he says that in today's play, it's not the end, because, you know, it's a mashup.
And Robin shall restore amends.
Aha! That's exactly what I was talking about. What does a robin have to do with anything? This is the symbolism part. A robin is a bird that, well, sings in the morning, like as you wake up. So Puck's speech is saying, if you were offended by this play, just, well, think of it as a dream. And when you wake up, when the robin sings, it will all be over, just a dream.
And even in today's production, where art thou, Romeo? Many of the lines that our playwright penned himself are written to sound like Shakespeare, and they use the same poetic meaning. Kind of
Like that time in Macbeth's talking about the color of his eyes?
Exactly. Ere we turn the glass towards these innocent orbs? Ought we look instead toward globes of green?
Green eyes, I grant you, but ne'er black with hate, nor red with vengeance. Accuse me not. Mine eyes toward Hamlet have been ever blue.
Of course. Macbeth's eyes aren't actually red or black. That's ridiculous. But he says they're both green and blue.
The green eyes are symbolic. What is green? The color of symbolically. You know, when somebody has something you have, you're jealous, envious. He's admitting when he says,
Green eyes, I grant you.
he's admitting he's been jealous.
But then, when he says his eyes toward Hamlet have been ever blue, what trait is blue associated with? You know, when someone's true blue.
It rhymes with
That's right, loyal.
So Macbeth is saying that his eyes are green. He's been jealous, but that towards Hamlet, they have always been blue. In other words, he's saying he's always been a loyal friend to Hamlet.
And this poetic way of speaking is why so many of Shakespeare's words and lines are still in use today. They're just a much prettier and more profound way of speaking.
A rose, by any other name, would smell as sweet.
Sounds a lot better than, don't matter what you call it if it's pretty. It's pretty.
All that glitters is not gold.
Sounds a lot better than, just 'cause it's pretty looking, don't mean it's pretty on the inside.
As dead as a doornail.
As pure as driven snow.
It's Greek to me.
Dashed to pieces.
Eating out of house and home.
Fight fire with fire.
Give the devil his due. I have not slept a wink.
Love is blind. The milk of human kindness.
All these phrases and hundreds more that we use every day and make perfect sense to us are just lines to a metaphor-laden poetry that Shakespeare first wrote.
Out of the jaws of death.
Send him packing.
Star-crossed lovers.
The game is afoot.
Wait a minute. Wasn't that Sherlock Holmes?
Nope, Shakespeare from his play King Henry IV.
Well, I guess there's some method in your madness.
Now, do all these phrases sound really all that hard to understand? Nah, because we get the metaphors. We're familiar enough with them that they make sense. But imagine the first time the words, "wear your heart on your sleeves" were said.
1604, in Shakespeare's Othello.
The audience would have had to stop and, well, think for a moment. What does that mean?
Of course, it means to hold your emotions out where everyone else can see them.
Similarly, Shakespeare is just a matter of thinking poetically, getting the metaphors.
But James, you said 50% of Shakespeare was common words we still use today. 40% was poetry. What's the remaining 10%?
Bodkin.
Incarnadine.
Oh no. Puissance.
Yes, there are some words in Shakespearean English that are French or simply so archaic, the average Joe today wouldn't have any idea what they mean.
So, what is a bodkin?
A dagger.
And incarnadine?
It means blood red.
And, puissance.
I don't know, okay? The reality is, sometimes in Shakespeare, you just gotta skip over that word and roll with it. Don't get bogged down in all the details of not knowing what that one word meant. Just get the gist of it. With the rest, the actors will help you.
And that will.
And speaking of actors, I seem to remember you're supposed to be putting on a play.
Sorry, Drew.
You're scared.
I mean, sorry, Mr. Director, sir.
It's better.
And if we shadows have offended, think but this and all is mended, that you have a slumber here, while these visions did appear, and this week in idle theme, no more yielding, but a dream.
And now, without much further ado, about nothing, where art thou, Romeo?
Dear boy, Romeo! Romeo? Hast thou
Romeo!
seen Romeo?
Here,
Romeo? Here, boy? Romeo? Whither hast thou lost thy goodly dog, Hamlet? Was it in thunder, in lightning, or in rain?
Nay, fair Ophelia, the hurly-burly was done. The sky's battle lost and won. 'Twas after the torrents and after the rain that I awoke to walk my dog. Only then did I realize that fair was foul and foul was fair. My dog had disappeared in the cold night's air.
Oh, Romeo, where art thou, Romeo?
Romeo, where art thou, Romeo? Deny thy digging, and refuse thy bone. Or if thou wilt not, be but returned home.
Hark! But soft. What dog through yonder garden barks? It is the east, and Juliet, the pursuit has begun.
I'm Siscolette, and this is Egbert, at the movies.
Today we review Where Art Thou, Romeo, a comedic spoof on Shakespeare's most famous plays, but a movie that is, essentially, about a boy and his dog.
I've got to admit, Egbert, this movie made me nervous from its opening scene. The way the scriptwriter butchered Shakespearean English was a total travesty. The title alone, Where Art Thou, Romeo, is problematic in itself. In Shakespeare's tragedy, Romeo and Juliet, the line was, Wherefore art thou, Romeo? It's a poetic way of asking, why are you Romeo? Not where are you, Romeo? It's supposed to be about a girl wishing that her Romeo was a different boy from a different family, not about looking for a dog.
I agree and disagree. I thought the twist on language was a funny touch, a clever irony that played itself throughout the film. But I do agree that opening scene left me wondering just how the directors were going to merge so many of Shakespeare's plays into one. I mean, just look at the characters. Romeo from Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet, the dog's owner from the play Hamlet, and the lines, "In thunder, lightning, or in rain, the hurly-burly's done," all come from the opening scene of Macbeth. That's 3 plays referenced in the first 3 minutes.
I would tend to agree. It seemed as though at first the convoluted combination of Shakespearean plays in this film was going to be the tail that wagged the dog. But that is not how it turned out.
Who's there?
Nay, answer me. Stand and unfold yourself.
Marcella?
She.
You come most carefully upon your hour.
'Tis now just struck 12. Get thee to bed, Bernardo.
For this relief, much thanks. 'Tis bitter cold, and I am sick at heart.
Have you a quiet guard?
Not a mouse stirring, nor even a dog.
Silence thy lips, lest thy words should hasten the apparition's approach. If you do meet Horatio, bid him make haste.
Methinks I hear him now.
Stand! Who's there?
A friend to this ground. Welcome, good Horatio.
Horatio says it is but our fantasy, and will not let belief take hold of him, touching this dreaded sight, twice seen of us. Therefore, I hath entreated Horatio to watch with us this night, that if again this ghost appear, we might venture to speak with it.
Tush, tush. 'Twill not appear. Stay a while, and let me once again assail your ears the story of what we 2 nights have seen. Last night of all, the bell beating 12.
Peace! Break thee out! Look where it comes again!
In the same figure, the dog Romeo, that's gone missing.
Thou art a scholar, Horatio. Speak to it!
Looks it not like Romeo? Mark it, Horatio.
Most like. It harrows me with fear and wonder.
It would be spoke to.
What art thou that usurps this time of night? I charge thee. Speak.
'Tis gone.
Horatio, you tremble and look pale. Is this not something more than fantasy?
Is it not like Romeo?
As thou art to thyself. Such was the very fur he was with adorned. Such was the pleading in his eyes, as when he needs to be let out. To do his thing. 'Tis strange.
Who's there?
One who's too solid flesh would melt, thaw, and resolve itself into a dew.
Hail to thee, Hamlet.
Horatio? Or do I forget myself? I am very glad to see you. But what in faith brings you from Ames?
My friend, I came to visit Romeo.
I prithee, do not mock me, fellow student. For his dog chow groweth cold in his bowl. For he is nigh 4 months been gone from my side. And yet, methinks I see him.
Where, my friend? Where?
In my mind's eye, Horatio.
My friend, methinks I saw him this night.
Saw? Who?
My friend, Romeo, your dog. Give me an attent ear for a while, that I may deliver to you, upon witness of these guards, this marvel to you. 2 nights together had Marcella and Bernardo, in the dead and middle of the night, been thus encountered. A figure, like your dog, appears before them. Thrice he walked as one dead, before their oppressed and fear-surprised eyes. This, to me, in dreadful secrecy in part they did, and I with them this 3rd night kept the watch, where, as they had delivered, a form of your dog, an apparition comes. I knew your dog, Hamlet. These hands are not more like.
But where was this?
Hark! There it comes again! Hamlet! It beckons you to go away with it.
Look. With what? With what courteous action? It waves you to a more removed ground. But do not go with it.
It waves me still.
You shall not go.
Unhold me, friends, or else I'll make a ghost of him that lets me. Go on, I'll come to thee.
He waxes desperate with imagination. Let's follow.
It is not fit thus to obey him.
Have after. To what issue will this come?
Something is rotten in the state of Iowa.
Nay. Let's follow.
Whither wilt thou lead me? Speak, I'll go no further. Thou speakest, while in life thou wert silent.
Nay! In life I spoke. The bark, the growl, the chirp were no stranger to thy ear. Though thou heard me not. But now lend thy serious hearing to what I shall unfold.
Speak! I am bound to hear.
I am thy dark spirit. No! For a certain term to walk the night, and by day I am confined to the everlasting kennel. Till the foul crimes done in my days are found. This, if thou ever did thy dear dog love.
As thou didst love thy bone, so did I love thee.
Then discovered is most foul and unnatural. Dog napper.
Dog napper?
Aye. Were I sleeping in my doghouse when a juicy steak were thrice thrust before me, but when I allowed my appetite to follow its natural course, did some unseen hands grasp and steal me from my home. But soft, methinks I scent the morning air. Brief, let me be. Upon my secure hour, the villain stole with a powder of cursed poison in a packet and poured it into my puppet chow.
First robbed from my side by schemes most foul, and then robbed of life by a poison?
Aye. But was I just fat of life?
But who was this villain? Most horrible.
This I charge thee to discover. But however thou pursuest this act, paint not thy mind, nor let thy soul contrive to revenge. Leave this villain to the police, and remain thyself a sleuth only. Fare thee well it was, The flower shows the morning to be near. Adieu, adieu, adieu. Remember me.
Scene 2. The plot thickens.
The plot, yes, but apparently not the production budget. The special effects in scene 2 were totally laughable. A ghost dog. It looked like a stuffed animal wrapped in a sheet.
I think audiences are willing to look past that, Siskelette.
Oh, well, excuse me, but I couldn't.
Of course not. You're so busy looking down your nose at this film, it's a wonder you can see anything at all. In a direct parody of Shakespeare's Hamlet, Where Art Thou, Romeo substitutes a canine Casper for the ghost of Hamlet's father. But, in an interesting plot twist, whereas Shakespeare's ghost calls for Hamlet to seek revenge upon his killer, the apparition in Where Art Thou, Romeo cautions Hamlet against adopting a spirit of revenge. With plot twists like this, you begin to suspect that the scriptwriters are turning the classic Shakespearean tragedies into a comedy.
With those special effects? No, it's a tragedy.
Oh, now, Ophelia. What's the matter?
Elena, Katharina, I have been so affrighted.
With what?
My friends, as I was just now at the drinking fountain, Hamlet, as pale as his shirt, and with his knees knocking each other, and with a look so piteous and purport as though he had been loosed out of detention. To speak of such horrors, he comes before me.
Mad was he?
As the Inferno.
What mean you, mad?
Fumes and furious flame, but a pale and sullen mist did dampen his madness.
Then mad as in one whose disposition is wrought with wrath, or mad as in one whose mind was lost in vapor? What lost has he, his temper or his mind?
Temper, mind, both and neither. As more than one whom mind has lost, since he hath in sorrow paced these 4 months past. But now he swims in rage as well, as though the very firmament above wears blame for his calamity. Look you now, lest he come and smite you with indictment for this supernal crime.
But what said he that causes you to frighten so?
He took me by the wrist, and he held me hard, and then he goes to the length of all his arm, and then he falls to such perusal of my face. As he would draw it. And long stayed he still. But that done, he lets me go. And with his head o'er his shoulder turned, he speaks but these few words. Frailty, my name is woman.
Have you given him any hard words of late?
No, Katharina.
Then must this Hamlet be love-struck. What? Oh, but struck by love and not embraced. Thus did he the word frailty to our kind impart. Think you not so, Helena?
Well,
Aye. Surely this doth get fit reason for Hamlet's fits of lacking it. So as he walked about in scowl and madness, but o'er a dog of some report, fine, no tale of tales, or the lacking thereof, holds fit cause for Hamlet's malady. His malady or a lady must be. Oh, but who? Who? Methinks a word in setting silver might reap a nugget gold.
She tells me, dear Macbeth, she hath found the head and source of all Hamlet's distemper.
Oh, I doubt it is no other than the main, his dog's long absence and our search in vain.
We shall sift her. Prithee, do tell all.
Good sir and madam, to expostulate. Why day is day, why night is night, and why time is time. We're nothing but to waste day, night, and time. Therefore, since brevity is the soul of wit, and tediousness the limbs and outward flourishes, I will be brief. Noble Hamlet is mad. Mad I call it, for to define true madness, what is to be nothing else but mad. But let that go.
More matter, with less art.
Why, madam, I swear I use no art at all. and pity. 'Tis true. A foolish gesture, but farewell it, for I will use no art. Mad let us grant him then, and thus remains we find the cause of this effect. Or rather say, the cause of this defect. For this effect, defective, comes by cause, and thus it remains, and the remainder thus.
The art remains, as does the matter.
Good madam, stay a while. I will be faithful. Prepend, I have a friend. While she's mine, who hath reported to me thus, that in his solemn walk, Hamlet hath to the drinking fountain come, where drinks he not, yet thirst he have, but not for the drink from the thirsting fountain, oh no. But from another fount of drinking for one's thirst.
More matter with less art.
Whereupon, encountering my friend, he looks deep into the windows of her soul to match the substance of her against the substance of another. Another eye of fair beauty hath him snubbed or scorned. And thus is our Hamlet mad, but not for the love of some long-lost pet, but for the love of some other. Know you who, Juliet?
Nay.
What thinks you, good Macbeth?
Oh, 'tis not a beauty Hamlet seeks, but a dog.
Why, sir, I thought thee to be a gentleman, but to call the lady so.
Oh, I would fain to call this dog a lady.
Call the lady plain, if thou must, or plainly show thyself to be the mongrel.
Oh no, I am a man, but Hamlet grieves a dog.
Thou art base. Come, I would know a name. Tell me who this lady be, so I may rescue her from thy forked tongue.
Alas, good Kate, I will not burden thee, for knowing thee to be but young and light.
Too light for such a swain as you to catch, yet as heavy as my weight should be.
Come, come, you wasp, if faith you are too angry.
If I be waspish, best beware my sting.
Come, Kate, come, you must not look so sour.
It is my fashion when I see a crab.
Why, here is no crab, and therefore look not sour.
There is, there is.
Then show it to me.
Had I a mirror for you, I would.
and no lady.
Neither was she.
Though the prudence require thee to provoke her so.
Oh, this is the way to kill a gossip with kindness. And hence I'll curb her mad and headstrong tongue. He that knows better how to tame a shrew, now let him speak. 'Tis a charity to show.
Clearly, the scriptwriters did little more here than take a compilation of Shakespeare's plays and put them through a blender. Starring tonight in the role of Hamlet's character Polonius is Kate from The Taming of the Shrew.
Exactly. That's the kind of creativity that holds this entire production together.
You're joking!
Memorable Shakespearean lines like Hamlet's, "Frailty, thy name is woman." Or Polonius's, "Brevity is the soul of wit," come out of the mouths of Kate and Ophelia instead. And rather than Petruchio dueling with Kate, this film interposes a battle of wills between Kate and Macbeth. Haven't you ever wondered if baseball legends from different eras were allowed to play in the same game?
No!
What if Roger Clemens pitched to Babe Ruth, or Barry Bonds win yard against Sandy Koufax? This is exactly what we're being treated to in this film.
Treated! Shakespeare would roll over in his grave.
Then Hamlet's gravedigger would dig him up. Julius Caesar could hold his skull aloft and say, "Alas, poor Shakespeare, I knew him well." Don't you see the irony? The blissful joy of not knowing what would happen next. It lends a freshness to Shakespeare's words.
You smell freshness. I smell something rotten in the state of Denmark.
Well, your review of this is going to be rotten because you've missed the entire point.
You're right. I missed the entire premise completely. It was at this point in the film that I remember thinking, you can grind, you can slaughter, you can rip apart and shred anything that Shakespeare wrote. Just please, for the love of everything that is good, merciful, and British in this world, please do not mess with Hamlet's to be or not to be speech.
If thou wilt be quick of wit, and learned as sons and daughters to kings, then show thy diligence in these writs of your instructor's fancy.
Hear you with what pomp and compliment our teacher speaks, but beneath her words, I hear serpents hiss.
I too hear the adder's tongue, for she smiles like hypnotizing asp, but in her hand she passes forth cruel objects of venom and torture. If I mistaken not be by writs of your instructor's fancy, she means to say a pop quiz.
Is this a quiz I see before me? The handle toward my hand. Come, let me clutch thee. Or art thou a quiz of the mind? A false creation proceeding from the heat-oppressed brain?
Macbeth! Methinks thou dost protest too much.
Yes, Mrs. Montague. To be, or negative to be. That is the question.
Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous algebra,
Or take arms against a sea of math problems. By cheating. End them.
Cheating to end his problems, says he. A fount of corrupt morality. What devices in the mind of Mark Antony? Could this the murderer of my Romeo be?
To cheat, to solve no more. And by cheating, to say that we end the headache and the 1,000 natural errors that flesh is heir to. Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished. To be, to cheat, but to cheat and perhaps be caught. Aye, there's the rub.
For in that state of cheat, what punishment may come must give us pause. For there's a respect that makes calamity of looking o'er your neighbor's shoulder.
For who would bear the whips and scorns of time, the teacher's shame, and the principal's contumely, and the spurns that student merits when he himself his transcript makes with cheats and fakes?
Thus conscience does make cowards of us all. And thus the native hue of dishonesty is sicklied or with the pale cast of thought. In enterprises of great convenience and selfishness, with this regard their currents to Narayan lose the name of action.
To be, or negative to be. That is still the question. But greater questions than these bubble and boil beneath my brain. For within this box are packed the few who have greatest cause to do my Romeo ill. Richard III, my neighbor, who did me often chide, for he, a lover of cats, found his felines in a fuss, or my Romeo's barking. The fair Ophelia, who methinks did turn her affections toward me once. And yet I told her, get thee to a nunnery. Could her heart yet harbor the hatred of a woman's scorn? Juliet. Nay, not Juliet, for she born within her breast such a love for Romeo, should poison be presented him, methinks she would drink it in his stead.
Whoops.
Macbeth, a good friend, but green-eyed monster was he once. For in the county fair last, his dogs won the title of Thane of Glamis and Thane of Cawdor. But when time's full moon was ripe and round, did Romeo win the title of king hereafter? When ribbons were presented, Macbeth hath wept. Ambition should be made of sterner stuff.
No. What the heck is this? No. That's like 100 decades ago. Like in the 16th century. No. No.
Beatrice and Rosaline, these sisters in whispers often twine, mischievous and cunning both. They, with condemning tongue, hath in me bred such insecurity. But what more than flapping these sirens be? No dog hath cause to fear from such, unless his collar not the latest fashion be. Mark Antony, the class bully, if ever there a villain be, since 3rd grade hath he sought my fall. He, the greatest suspect of them all. Ah, the time is out of joint, or cursed spite, that ever I was born to set it right.
Be still, my lady. 'Tis only the knocking of my soul against the pad.
Was it so late, friend, ere you went to bed, that you do walk about so late?
As my soul beat against the stone, I had hoped my soul to walk and converse with me, for it heavy be.
With what, good sir?
With the burden of a friend.
A good friend you be then?
Aye?
Wouldst thou be a good friend to me as well? For I am in dire need of one.
Say on, my lady.
The night grows long, and my path leads past the worming place. I fear to pass it, as shadows do move about on nights such as this.
A gentleman I am, my lady, and I shall see thee safely past.
I thank thee.
I hope, it lies in the fire. I hope.
Has this fellow no feeling of his business? That he sings it brave-making.
Custom hath made it in him a property of easiness.
'Tis seemed so. The hand of little employment hath the daintier sense.
Well, 'tis most strange to welcome the quick in this place of worms.
Do not worms live and breathe, sir?
Live they do and breathe that. Well, that. I know not, but quick, they certainly aren't.
You play at words, sir.
What are words if not the play of minds of men?
And women as well.
Nay, my lady, for men but play at words, women, for all their practice, are masters of them.
You are a jester, sir.
Good lady, though a lady you may be, a gentleman, I am not. You may call me Puck.
Well then, Puck, you are a jester.
I, a jester. But ere you think me a fool, I'll put a question to thee.
Go to.
What is he that builds stronger than either the mason, the shipwright, or the carpenter?
The gallows maker. For the frame that he builds outlives 1,000 tenants.
I like thy wit well, in good faith. The gallows does well, but how does it well? It does well to those that do ill. Now, thou dost ill to say the gallows is built stronger than the church, or gal, the gallows may do well to thee. To it again come.
Who is he that builds stronger than the mason, the shipwright, or the carpenter?
Aye, tell me that. And done you.
We cannot tell.
Cudgel thy brains no more about it. But when asked this question next, say, a grave maker. For the houses he builds last till doomsday.
Whose grave is this, sir?
Mine, sir. Oh, a pit of clay to be made for such a guest as this.
I think it to be thine indeed, for thou liest in it.
You lie out on it, sir. Therefore, 'tis not yours. For my part, I do lie in it. Yet, 'tis mine.
Thou dost lie in it, to be in it and say it is thine. 'Tis for the dead, not for the quick. Therefore thou liest.
'Tis a quick lie, sir. 'Twill away again from me to you.
What dog dost thou dig it for?
For no dog, sir.
For what cat, then?
For none either.
Well, who is to be buried within it?
One that was a cat. But rest her soul. She's dead.
How absolute the knave is. We must speak by the card, or equivocation will undo us.
How long doth a pet lie in the earth ere he rots?
Well, if it not be rotten before it is dead, as I suspect most cats to be, it will last some 3 or 4 months. A Labrador will last you 5.
Why he more than another?
Why, my lady, the Labrador is so true to his master bee. He lies in wait a full month before he is certain his master does not call him back from the dead.
3 or 4 months. The time that Hamlet's Romeo has since been covered. Though where he lay, or who hath laid him down, we have not uncovered.
Why, here's a color now of a poor beast that fell dead upon the very grave he was buried. Whose do you think it was?
Nay, I know not.
As the dust falls, a name upon it reads, Romeo.
This?
In that.
Alas, poor Romeo. I knew him, Helena. A dog of infinite jest, of most excellent loyalty. I had stroked his back 1,000 times. My gorge rises at it. Here perked those ears I had scratched, I know not how oft. Where be your barks now, your whines, your... Helena, tell me one thing.
What's that, Horatio?
Dost thou see here a ruby gem, as Romeo wore in pomp and pride, bestowed upon him by his loving master, hanging here from the collar's clasp?
No, Horatio.
Such a gem of crimson deep would fetch a ransom quicker than Romeo fetched a stick. Say you again, Helena, see you it here.
No, Horatio.
This seeds a plan within my brain. Come, I must see thee home, that I might to Hamlet with haste.
Fare thee well, witty shadow of the graveyard.
Fare thee well, my lady. And if we shadows have offended, think but this, and all is mended. that you have but slumbered here, while these visions did appear. And this weak and idle theme, no more yielding, but a dream. Gentles, do not reprehend. If you pardon, we will mend. And as I am, an honest puck, if we have unearned luck, now to scape the serpent's tongue, we will make amends ere long, else the puck a liar call. So good night unto you all. Give me your hands if we be friends, and Robin shall restore amends.
Hamlet! Hamlet! Who? Hamlet! 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 Hamlet!
What? Cause this alarm ere the rooster sings.
I regret that I must stir your heart as I have stirred you from sleep.
Stir on, for my heart has not yet risen from its slumber, though the month clock strikes 4. Faithful are the wounds of a friend. I do trust thee.
Mark here.
Horatio! Well do I know this collar. My Romeo!
Aye.
Where art, Romeo?
Oh. Alas, my friend, he is dead.
Oh! But where lies his frame, that I may grieve?
The goodly gravedigger, Puck, hath made a home for him beneath the stones. He is well entombed.
And who is he that hath invited him to the worming feast?
Ah, I know not, my friend, but a plan I have to discern the matter.
Go on.
Mark the collar, how it lacks the crimson stone with which thou hast thy dog bejeweled. Methinks the murderer hath taken it for his own, for all its wealth and beauty.
Ha! Wealth? My friend, the stone was but a piece of glass, a token from a chandelier broken. I have at home a score the same.
Alas, the jewel from my crown hath lost its luster, for the sparkle was in the gem's worth.
A ruby you may not, but a lustrous stone you have, my friend. For its light hath shined upon my darkened place, and where once was emptiness, is now a welcome gleam.
Do tell.
Worth, you say this gemstone had, though had it none. And yet, the murderer had it also ascribed, for he took it for himself, a fitting bait for a guilty conscience. Come, Horatio, we must away. The glowworm rises.
At last, we arrive at the climax of the plot. And, in true Shakespearean fashion, it's a ruse, a scheme, a plot, a ploy, a play within a play to catch the guilty conscience.
As the bard himself wrote, the play's the thing in which to catch the conscience of the dog napper.
I think you mean the king.
Excuse me?
You said the bard himself wrote, and the proper quote is, The play's the thing in which to catch the conscience of the king, not the dog napper.
Whatever. You were the one that thought it was funny to say, "Where art thou, Romeo?" instead of "Wherefore art thou, Romeo?" like it's supposed to be. You were the one that chuckled at to cheat or not to cheat.
Yes, but Shakespeare often wrote in rhymes. The play's the thing, catch the king. See? Dognapper doesn't even rhyme.
Whatever. I'm still giving this movie a thumbs down.
But it doesn't even rhyme.
What's news from Hamlet? Hark! The crab walks. Ah, milady, still brandishing her sting. Oh, but I tell you, the crab only walks by moonlight. See how good and brightly shines the sun. It is not moonlight now.
Still, there walks the crab. And I say 'tis the moon that shines so bright.
Oh, but I know it is the sun that shines so bright.
Now by my mother's daughter, and that is myself, it shall be moon, or star, or whatever I list. Evermore crossed and crossed, nothing but crossed. Say as she says, or we shall never know for what purpose. Hamlet hath assembled us. Get over there.
Forward, I pray. And since we have come so far, be it moon or sun or whatever you please, and if you please to call it a rush candle, henceforth I vow it shall be for me.
I say it is the moon that shines so bright.
Oh, I know it is the moon that shines so bright.
Nay, then you lie. It is the blessed sun.
Then it is the blessed sun. But sun, it is not when you say it is not. And the moon changes, even as your mind. What you have it be, even that it is, henceforth I vow it shall be for Macbeth.
She shall make the man mad or make a woman of him.
Again, I ask, what's news from Hamlet?
Hamlet hath early this morning this message to me sent. And in it, he left such instructions as to gather in this place the entirety of Mrs. Montague's class.
And what of Kate?
Oh, true, she has no part with these or those. But in all things, she has a nose.
What further? These instructs.
He writes anon that in this place there shall be revealed a culprit who his Romeo did dog nap.
Well, surely not.
Aye, and more than that. Mark here, words of import and potency, beyond mere accusation. For what crime against canine flesh could be darker done than dog napping?
Snip, snip, snip.
Nay, 'twas already done.
What then?
A fouler fiend and fouler fouler deed doth Hamlet declare was done? It grieves the heart.
What then?
I fear to speak it. Such deeds are done in dark alone. 'Tis not yet noon. See how bright shines the sun? Nay, I will not tell.
You forget, Ophelia. 'Tis not the sun that shines so bright, but the moon. Kate hath declared it so herself. 'Tis night by and by.
Oh. Well, I suppose 'tis time to speak to it.
What then?
Murder.
Cut it out already! Surely not. Then Romeo is dead and not lost?
Nay, lost he never was, but snared and then dispatched to where he rots these 4 months, a tenant in apartments dug by Puck, the merry gravedigger.
And the doer of this deed sits with us under Mrs. Montague.
Which in turn means thus, that unless Hamlet be mad, or possibly mistaken, then the murderer is among us, even now.
What cause hath anyone to murder a poor dog?
Methinks the glass doth shine too bright.
Speak not in shades. What meanest thou?
Did thou not writs of affection make towards Hamlet?
When I was a child.
Child spurned once grows to a woman, twice spurned.
Long ago hath I abandoned such frivolity. I harbored no love for Hamlet or any other. It was but a little girl's fancy.
Uh-huh.
And to Macbeth, thou hast cause above all to Romeo despise. For all his ribbons blue, did your hound contend with red. And ere we turn the glass towards these innocent orbs, ought we look instead toward globes of green.
Oh, green eyes, I grant you, but ne'er black with hate nor red with vengeance. Accuse me not. Mine eyes toward Hamlet have been ever blue.
What news? What news? Come to!
Oh, fine!
Thank you!
Here lies Hell's hound yet again. A tormentor sent to burn its scarlet finger within my memory. Not me! Does Romeo rot
murder Hamlet's dog.
Oh, will all great Neptunes, oceans, wash this blood clean from my hand? No, 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 this, my hand, would rather the multitudinous seas, incarnadine, making the green one red. Whence comest thou to this knowledge? Yes! Yes! I asked Romeo from his keeper's doghouse, untimely ripped! That miserable Mutt's constant. And his snarling and his barking and my precious, my precious kitten.
You.
My baby, my darlings, were from their wits torn as orphans from their mother's milk.
Marcella! Bernardo!
And you who didst pity and search for that cursed dog, round me up, round me up. Where art thou, round me up? Thou didst call like a love-torn maiden, crying into the night from her balcony. Despicable! It makes me want to drink of Hemlock's brew. But away! The dog is dead. My kitten's safe, and I must to flight. No, no, my kittens, my kittens! All my kingdom for my kittens! I need it as my attorney.
At last, my friend. The killer caught.
by grief's put to rest, and to Romeo is justice given.
Good night, sweet pup. May flights of angels take thee to thy rest.
Oh, mercy, the torture and the mangling of William Shakespeare's words have at last come to an end. I don't know about you, Egbert. But for me, this was a solid thumbs down.
Thumbs down. What do you know? Can't even rhyme.
Excuse me?
The play's the thing in which to catch the conscience of the dog napper. The dog napper, Siskolet?
Let go!
I'm gonna have to let your review of this go too, because for me, this was a solid thumbs up.
Thumbs down.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs down.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs down!
I'll tell you what. Let's let the audience decide. How about we bring the entire cast out here and let the audience's applause determine what kind of review this movie should get. If you think thumbs up, be sure to put your hands together as the credits roll in just a moment. But until next time,
I'm Siskolet.
and I'm Egbert
At the movies.
Thank you so much for coming tonight. It's a huge pleasure to have you, and I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much. And can we have our directors come up on stage, please? Give them a round of applause, guys. They were awesome! And as a small-ish token of our deep appreciation and just how awesome they are, we have these for our wonderful assistant directors and chocolate. There was a ton of work put into this. We have our producers, Christopher and Michelle Levi, our costume designer, Melissa Thompson. My awesome dad building these sets that you saw, and we have our people in the sound and light booth, James Peter Lumberg, Jonathan Levi, and Etana Thompson. And we also had a ton of sponsors that you saw in the program. They were huge help. Also for the parents that created those wonderful treats you guys had during intermission. That was amazing. And also for the Johnson family, being willing to video this, that was awesome as well. Let's give them a round of applause, guys. And also, last but not least, the Martins for donating water to us so we didn't die. Once again, thank you for coming tonight. I'm glad you had fun. Stay as long as you like. Do whatever to us. Take pictures.
In fact, I'm gonna turn the actors over to you in just a moment. You can take pictures, you can greet them, you can say hi, but every practice, every performance, we end together in a word of prayer. So we're gonna do that very quickly here on the stage, and then I turn them over to you. Thank you for coming tonight.